Hello everybody, in this video I have some art journaling to share with you. This spread is one where basically I just wanted to play with some new things that I had bought myself, some of those late night Amazon purchases, you know the ones. You know, you don't mean to buy anything, it just happens accidentally. But yeah, I wanted to play with the new things. So I started off with my usual of putting some masking tape down the spine of the book just to prevent any mediums and stuff from soaking through, and then covering it all with a layer of gesso. It wasn't absolutely necessary on this particular spread to cover with gesso, but with the masking tape I find it kind of necessary, especially as that masking tape is like a really strong cream colour and it just helps blend it in and helps it stick down as well because it's not the best quality. So one of the purchases I made was the Distress Collage medium in the vintage colour or version or something, and it's basically just gel medium but it's tinted a brownishy tea dye sort of vintagey colour, so when you use it to collage rice paper or tissue paper or whatever, it gives it that really gorgeous vintage effect. And this is the first time I've used it and I was just completely in love with it. So I chose a few bits from my little stash of rice paper to use. I found these bits with florals and old handwriting and stuff, and I thought I could make those work. With the collage medium, I do what I do with any sort of collaging, is do a layer underneath and a layer over the top as well. And yeah, I just think it looks absolutely gorgeous, so pretty. Do not regret this purchase one little bit, but let me know if you do the same thing as well with the late night Amazon purchases. I think I go on there like I can't sleep. I was, oh, I'll just have a little look, add some items to my wish list or something, and then before you know it, you've ordered a bunch of stuff, and you're just like, how did this happen? What have I done? It's usually because it's like, oh, well, you've got this item in your basket. There's only 2 left. You better order it now. And I'm like, okay, Amazon. Oh dear, I'm terrible. Anyways, after putting down some of that rice paper, I wanted to collage on something else. So basically the entire background of this piece is completely collaged. This here is Tim Holtz collage tissue paper. There is a name for it. Oh, it's just the floral collage paper. Because tissue paper can be a little bit more difficult to rip than rice paper in that, I mean, like, rip where you want it to rip. I always just kind of trace where I want to rip with my aqua brush first. It just makes life so much easier. So yes, I'm just going to add a few bits of that collage paper around, and then I think once I'd got those bits on as well, there was one little gappy bit which I wasn't completely happy with, so I went back and pulled out another piece of that rice paper. The collage medium is actually a lot thicker than I expected to be, but it does seem to go quite far at the same time. Like, you don't have to really put loads onto your brush, just put like a teeny bit on, and as you spread it on, it goes, yeah, as I said, it goes quite far. So yeah, I'm just going to add that last little bit of the rice paper to cover up that awkward little gap at the top, and that's the background almost done. But I just wanted to add something. I've got a couple of awkward gaps between the little collage sections. I'm not gonna lie though, I did kind of like the way it looked there. Like, I could have just left it. I liked it, but it wasn't really doing anything apart from just being a random pretty background. So I'm going to take some gesso and really sort of dry brush dab that on in the spaces between the little collage sections, and also kind of invent a few more fake collage sections to add the gesso as well, because just the couple of sections I did just didn't look, I don't know, it just didn't look quite right. So just adding a little few areas of the really dry brushed gesso on there. And then once the gesso was done, that was too white, far too white in your face. So I grabbed some impasto paint in the colour Dusty Rose, and again, really putting tiny amounts on my brush. So I'm doing, or so you're adding just really tiny amounts at a time, because with something like this you can always add more, but you can't really take away. And I didn't want it to be a strong colour, I want it to be really faded, kind of like the whole faded effect of the whole background with the vintagey collage stuff. So yes, that's all I'm going to do with that, just add tiny bits at a time, dry brush stipple it on, and I get that nice sort of pinky effect, but it's not like in your face pink, it's not too bright white either. It just, I really like the colour, it seemed to work really well. And at this point, that was as far as my planning ahead really got, and I was like, okay, what do we do now? So I grabbed some old vintage book pages and this Prima Don't Forget to Fly stamp set. It's one that I avoided buying for the longest time. Louise of Thompson's Craft Supplies. Saw her first use this set like years ago, and I was like, oh, it's gorgeous, but I'm not going to buy it. I don't need it. I'm not going to buy it. And I eventually succumbed like a month or so ago, and now I use it all the time. So the stamp set has these little circles on that have either, those ones there I'm cutting have music notes, other ones have text in, and I just thought I would stamp them on to the vintage book page. I used Stays on Ink in Timber Brown for that. I think I did a practice one with black ink, but that wasn't quite right. And then I cut those out, but they were a bit too small on the page, so I was like, I need a bigger one. So I just took a Kaisercraft texture stamp with music notes, just used a random pen pot to trace a circle shape, and now I have a nice bigger circle to put on the page as well. So next I'm going to play around with those to see where they can go on the page. And well, I figured out an arrangement for them on the right hand page, which I really liked. I think I'm doing that now, but it was just like, it looked weird just on one side of the page. It just wasn't balanced out or anything like that. So I am going to go back and make a couple more of these little stamped out circles, but again I'm going to use that collage medium to paste those on. You don't get as much of the effect on the book paper there, like that browny vintagey tea dye tone that you get on the collage paper, not so much on the book pages, but that's fine because they're kind of that colour anyway, I suppose. But yeah, I'm just pasting those on, and then as I said, I am going to make a few more of those. I made a slightly smaller circle for my big circle by using that collage medium to trace the circle shape, and just going to put, I think, 3 of those on the left hand page. Once all of the collage medium was dry on those little circles, I don't think I heat tooled it. I think I left it to dry, like went and got a snack or a cup of tea or something. I then wanted to just add a bit more depth to those circles. So I'm taking a gelato in the colour chocolate and just going around the edges and then smudging them with my finger, just as I said, to add a little bit more depth to them, to make them stand out a bit more as focal points for the page. But the other thing I had was that the stamped circles that came from that Prima set, they have a brown line around the edge of the circles, but those big ones that I kind of did myself, if you like, didn't have that line. So I'm just taking a brown pencil. I think it's a watercolor pencil. I've had it for, I'm not even exaggerating here, probably about 15 years. I think they were watercolor pencils from W.H. Smith that everybody at school had to have, and I still have them for some reason. But anyways, I took that because it was the best one that went on top of that, the collage medium. My polychromos weren't working on there, and some other pencils I have weren't working, but the watercolor pencil did work. And yeah, just drew a rough brown circle line so it matched the other smaller circles from the Prima set. So my other random late night Amazon purchase was a pack of the Tim Holtz paper dolls, so I thought I would bring those in. I played around for ages figuring out which ones to use. It took me so long to decide, and then I saw that guy, and the way he was standing, I thought I can like put him on the circle, like he's leaning on the circle. So then I went through and found some more who I could do the same thing with. So there's that younger guy leaning on the circle, then there's this guy on the left, the older man just sat on top of the circle, and then there's a little boy also sat on top of his little circle. I just kind of like the way it looks like they're very much made to be there. I don't know if that makes sense, but I went around the edges of those with some brush corduroy Oxide just because of the whole brownie theme, and then I went back with that gelato just to add some shading and shadows around them as I had done with the circles, just to help them stand out a little bit more. And it also, you know, it makes them look like they're supposed to be there if you use the same techniques as you've used with other elements on the page. And then I just wanted some little words and phrases and stuff to finish off. I found this, which says it's like grow and then the dictionary definition of grow on some clear sticker paper. So I'm using my bone folder there to really push that onto the page so it's not going to peel up. And then a few stickers from the Tim Holtz clippings ones. I kind of liked the grow one because I've got the three guys there, and there's like the young lad and the older gentleman and the little boy, like different stages of life or something. It wasn't really on purpose, it's just kind of the way it ended up. But I kind of liked using men in my chunk journal pages because I never ever do that, so that was quite, you know, fun and different to do. But yeah, I added a few more of the clipping stickers, again with the gelato, using that around those stickers to help them blend in but also stand out at the same time. And then I'm just going to finish off with some Distress Oxide Spray Splatters. I started off with Vintage Photo, but it was a little bit too dark, so I took a paper towel or kitchen roll and just dabbed away a little bit of that colour. You can still see it, but it's just not quite as bright and in your face. And then I added some splatters of Victorian Velvet, because I thought white splatters were not going to be right for this page, not for the tone of the page, so the Victorian Velvet are like my equivalent of the white splatters that's on a very vintagey browny toned page. And there we go, that is it. It is finished. So I hope you enjoyed me just playing around with some new stuff I bought. I will leave links to things down into the comments. That doesn't make any sense. Down in the description box. Oh, it's early. I should not record voiceovers this early. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and go. Please leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Chat to me down in the comments. I am going. Thank you again. Bye bye.